Okay, so a couple more questions coming in. One, can you please set up a personal account for someone? It's a great question. We currently don't support personal banking, only business banking. It's something I do think we'll get to and want to do, and I think Mercury has the product for. But it is just a different beast in the regulatory sense, and would just take some work on our part to set up. So not today, but hopefully coming sometime in the near future. Let's see. Do international founders need a U.S. social to get access to the credit faculty? So no, you don't need an SSN to apply for an account and get access to Mercury features. You just need a passport. International passport is fine. If you were applying in the US, sometimes we'll ask for the social, but if we see it's an international founder, we'll know, okay, they're not going to have a social, like we'll find a different way to verify.
Yeah. There's another question that came through, but it's on the chat. Said, can an individual residing outside US territories open an account? If yes, what are the requirements? Yes, you can, but the business has to be a registered US business. However, your residential address can be outside of the US. That's something that, again, we pride ourselves on, international founders.
Mm-hmm. Question about crypto. Can I fund my account with crypto? There's a couple things there. One, at Mercury, we tend to be very Web3 friendly. We want to support crypto companies. With a lot of banks, if you even mention crypto, they would rather not deal with it. As far as like the actual funding, we still only do pay-ins in USD, so you wouldn't be able to fund your account with crypto. But depending on the business type, we could support you for banking. So if there's any questions on the specifics of the business, feel free to reach out and we can give you a sense of if we believe we can support it. But we wouldn't be able to actually fund with crypto.
Yeah. There was another question in chat that came up. Can you assist companies not set up in the USA to get the necessary documentation to be able to sign up? I believe this is where Legal Trunk would come into play and help you out.
Yeah, correct. So that is a service that we handle at Legal Trunk. So we basically would send you a form to fill, and once you fill that form, you can set up your company in the US pretty easily. It's not a complicated process at all. And then once you're done with setting up the company in the US, would help you with applying for your EIN. EIN is the Federal Employer Identification Number in the US. It's sort of like a tax identification number. And once you get that EIN done, then would refer you to Mercury to set up your bank account. So I put the link in the comments for you to open a bank account with Mercury with Legal Trunk. And remember, when you do that with Legal Trunk, you get up to $500 in perks. So if you already have a company registered and you just want to go ahead and set up your bank account, then you can use that link. But if you don't have a company set up in the US yet and would like to do that, I'm going to send a link to that in the chat, and I will also send our email address as well. So if there are other inquiries that you would like to make, we offer a 15-minute free consultation call to clients. So if there are specific questions you have about your business that you do not want to share now, I will also share a link, so you can just book a quick 15-minute call with us, and then we'll try to answer as many questions as possible for you.
Question about, let's see, I have a US business, but we just sell Kindles on Amazon. Can I sign up for Mercury? So, Mercury was very much created with startups in mind, maybe skewing towards that early stage, just getting started, like here's the bank account for you that you can start with and grow on and scale out of. But what we sort of quickly learned is that a lot of the needs a startup would have, an e-commerce company has as well. And actually, almost half of our user base, or right around there, are various e-commerce companies, a lot of which is international based. So we're very familiar with and happy to support e-commerce sellers as well. When it comes to like limitations on Mercury, it's really if you need cash management, that's where things can get a little tricky. But any online business does very well with the platform.
Yeah. And we have a lot of, just to echo that, we have a lot of Amazon sellers as well, that are in selling on Amazon, drop shipping on Amazon, a lot of those different things on e-commerce.
I would also like to add one thing. So if you're on the call and you're interested in getting your company registered in the US and you're ready to get started right away, for the next 48 hours, we're offering a $50 discount. So you have $50 off your company registration in the US if you start now. So please take advantage of that. We look forward to serving you. So I'm just going to share my screen for a brief second so I can show you the offer that we have. Okay, can you see my screen? Yeah, I think you should be able to see my screen. So we have a discount if you register your company in the next 48 hours. So for our regular company registration, this used to work a lot faster, but because there have been some delays with Delaware where our companies are registered, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks for your company to get registered. But if you still want to go with that option, we're doing that for $450 for the next 48 hours. If you choose to go for the express registration, you can get your company done and set up within 3 to 5 business days. And we're also doing $50 off for that. And the price for that is $600. So if you're interested in any of these, you can use the link that we shared in the chat, or you can send us an email and then we'll respond to you. Please feel free to go ahead. Are there any questions? Someone is asking what bank can we set up the company with? So you can set up your company with Mercury. But we have it for right now. Okay, so there's a question in the chat. There was a time that bank accounts for some founders were temporarily shut down. Could you talk about why this happened and how we can avoid that in the future?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's in reference to when we had to pause some accounts, I believe for businesses with founders based out of Nigeria. It was a temporary sort of like freeze on account activity. I can't get into too many details, but it was the result of communication gap, we could say, with a partner bank of ours. As Austin had mentioned, we work with partner banks to sort of like provide the underlying financial services that the Mercury tech is built on top of. And yes, there was an issue that caused a bit of a headache. It wasn't particularly anything any user would have done, and it certainly was a cause for us to ensure something like that would never happen again, specifically in that region for international founders. I think there are elements of supporting international founders as easy and simple as we do that cause us to really like push to make these things as seamless as possible. And it was just a result of that. But there wouldn't be anything activity-wise that a Mercury user would need to worry about in terms of having something like that happen outside of just the general terms of service, which you'll see when signing up for an account, most of which is just involved to anything that could be seen as fraudulent activity or things like that. That would really be the only case. We would want to reach out to a Mercury account regarding their activity.
Okay, thank you for that reassurance. I also have a question around, are there limits on transfers in and out of the Mercury accounts? I think one time, a couple of weeks back, I already reported on that. Is there any limits to daily or monthly transfers that people can make in or out of the accounts? And can people do transfers from outside the US to a Mercury account?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great question. So when you sign up for an account, our onboarding team, they review each application by hand. They want to take like a holistic view of the business when sort of making an approval decision. Part of that is just getting a sense of the business type, the associated industry, and the associated risk with said business profile in said industry. Potentially taking into account some other factors. And from that, we'll set account limits at the start that will be communicated to the user. So you'll know, do I have a wire limit? These would be daily limits. And then if for whatever reason, your business requires like higher limits for payments, you can just reach out to Mercury support through your account and say, request a limit increase. And they'll just ask for like, cool, like, why, what's the reason? Is it to pay a vendor? Is it, I have this part of my business flow? And then once you provide that and they get it, they'll increase the limit. So you're set a limit that's very customized to you based on that sign up flow. And you can always request to have it increased through your account with our support team.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for that. Then concerning debit and credit cards, you mentioned that there's an option for physical cards. Is this available internationally or only in the US?
Yeah. So we do ship physical cards internationally. So you can request those to be shipped right through the dashboard. So you can spin up a virtual one and then, request one physically as well. It could be a little tough to give an estimate on the delivery date just because it varies internationally. Usually we say like within 1 to 3 weeks it should arrive, but absolutely our international customers can get a card shipped to them.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
Someone has a question. I have a US business, but we do just Kindle on the Amazon store. Can they sign up on Mercury?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that was, as far as e-commerce companies, like we're happy to support. As far as devices you can sign up on, we do have iOS application, we have Android application, so you can sign up on any computer or any mobile devices as well.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Someone says, can they send money from their Mercury account in the US to a dollar account in Nigeria or any other home country?
Yeah. So we have the ability to send international wires, which are free through the platform. We have with the option to do currency conversion, but yeah, the payment methods we support are ACH, which will be more relevant in the US, domestic wires in the US, international wires, and then the credit and debit card functionality as well. All of that can be done.
Okay. Is there a limit on the amount to keep/move and frequency of transaction?
Yeah, so that sort of ties into those daily limits. So it would be like more of an amount in a given day for, maybe there's a wire limit where it couldn't go above a certain dollar amount in a given day. And again, if that needs to be higher for business operations, like we're more than open to it. So you would just reach out to say, hey, can we increase my daily wire limit? Here's why this is my business flow. And then we're happy to do it. So
Oh, sorry to interrupt. I was just going to ask, can you give like a range of what the average limit is like?
Yeah, I can't confidently, but let me check on that. I know it does vary pretty widely depending on industry, and if you're in an industry that tends to have a certain amount of like wire payments or amounts, they might not even notice, right? Because their limit's going to be high enough. Like we definitely want to take into account what a business will likely need from a limit standpoint. But I'll see if there's any like clear ranges on the different business types.
On the help center, so the help.mercury.com, we do have a couple articles talking about like specific limits, right? Like an international wire limit by country. So there is some articles on our help center that can help answer those specific questions around limits for this whatever type of transaction you're doing. But again, that's specific to like an international wire transaction by company or by country, not necessarily what Alex is talking about with like just your own user daily limit. So there are some articles out there as well.
Yeah. See a question here just about if an account was if an application was declined, can the decision be appealed? That just speaks to like one more element of our onboarding process that I think is good to know. And as I mentioned, like they'll review each application by hand. They very much want to approve everyone we can. The highest chance of success is just to ensure clear, accurate info, clear documentation, like image of passport is clear. But if there is anything where it's like, okay, we would like to approve, but we need a little more info here, or this image is a little unclear, onboarding will reach out to you and say, hey, we're reviewing your application. Could you verify XYZ? And then if you provide that documentation, oftentimes that's all we need to approve. So all that's to say, when they get to a decline, it's usually we've tried and we're either not getting the info we would need, or we're getting inconsistent info that's not matching. So the best way to avoid getting to that, like we've tried and now it's declined, is to just make sure if they do ask for anything after you've submitted your application, that when you log in, you'll be prompted to enter it. And it's usually just to clarify either the business owner or the business operations.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Somebody is asking, is it possible to transfer from a legal representative to another? I'm not sure if I understand that, but do you understand? Or
I
That might
suppose
be-
you're referencing account ownership.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Which, yes, that we can do that. It usually requires like the business owner to reach out and explain, why and who we would need to transfer the account to. But yes, it is doable to transfer, depending on like how the business ownership changes to the business owner.
Yeah. There's another question too. It was a simple one that we've answered. Is Mercury a bank? Mercury's not a bank. We are a financial technology company, and we partner with 2 partner banks to help with what Alex was saying, kind of the underlying financial side of things. In essence, we're the software that makes banking a million times better for businesses.
Okay, thank you. I think the last question in the Q&A is, live outside in the US, how can you incorporate your business in the US, and can my organization help in that direction? So to answer that question, yes, Legal Trunk helps you set up your company in the US from anywhere in the world. So we have shared the links in the chat already. Someone is just going to reshare those links again. If you would like to register your company in the US, please reach out to us. And like I also said earlier, we're offering a $50 discount for the next 48 hours if you choose to register your company right away. So please take advantage of that. I think those are the questions that we have. I don't know if anyone has any other question, please feel free to drop in the chat. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you everyone for listening in and being a part of this session. I think that what Mercury is doing is pretty great, and I think that you also offer some very nice and interesting services. So please, if you're, if you would like to take your business global and have access to international customers, just be aware that Mercury can help you with, you know, not just having a bank account, but you have access to credit and debit cards. You can, there's access to treasury where you can, sort of like invest your money while it's in accounts so that it doesn't just sit fallow. And then you can also take advantage of their capital services and do raise funding through the partners that they also have on their platform. So please take advantage of that, everyone. It was so great to speak to you all. Thank you so much for your time. Someone is asking, what are the
There was
basic
yeah, basic documentations. I just provided the what the documentations we need. I don't know if that was directed towards you or not, but for Mercury, there's a link for what we need.
Okay. I mean, well, off the top of my head, I know that you need to have your company registered in the US. So all your company registration documents, your employer identification number, your international passport, or your SSN if you're in the US. So those are just some of the things that you need. And then you also need to provide enough information on the kind of business that you're doing. Yeah, so things like that. But yeah, this should be great. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. I don't think there's any other. Okay, so there's one question. What state is the company to be registered and what is the tax implications? So Legal Trunk registers companies in Delaware. And in terms of tax implications, in Delaware, the only tax that you have to pay as an international company is the Delaware franchise tax. So if you're registered as a corporation or as a limited liability company or a partnership or any other type of business, there are some franchise taxes that apply according to the business category. But in terms of federal taxes, if you are operating in the US or have employees in the US or you're a resident in the US, then there will also be federal taxes that you would need to pay. If this is something that you are interested in, please send an email to hello@legaltrump.com and we will connect you with some of our tax partners in the US and they can give you more detailed tax advice. But yeah, that is it for now. Yes, like I said, US Legal Trunk. Oh, does Legal Trunk do UK Corporation? So for now, that service is not live, but once that comes out, we will definitely inform you and keep you in touch. So thank you everyone for your time. Thank you for staying with us up to this moment. Thank you, Alex and Austin. It was so great to have you here.
Yes, thank you for organizing.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. And enjoy the rest of your weekend, people.